We're at the Detroit Mercantile Company with Robert. And just start out, when were you guys established, and what does Detroit Mercantile Company do?
We started in May of 2012. Myself and my wife Sherry Lawton Jameson is the third owner, and our partner Robert Stansler here. We met around town, some other markets, and some other kind of craft fair, pop-up shop sort of merchant fairs, and we both, as two collective groups, had a vision of a store like the Detroit Mercantile, where American-made products, Michigan-made products, Detroit-made products, kind of with this old-timey sort of general store feel to it. And Robert had this space already as a warehouse long before we built any of the store in it, and he was using it for fulfillment of his own other company, a t-shirt company he owns, and we decided this was a fantastic place to open up a store like this, so we jumped in.
This was actually the third business I've opened at Eastern Market. The first one I built up and sold. The second one I started on the streets of the market, as an unofficial Saturday vendor in the market, and then this is our newest, and really just it's a great district to be in. No matter if you're carrying every bit of product you got in a backpack to set it on a table on a Saturday and try to sell some, or if you're lucky enough to have a brick and mortar establishment like we do, you couldn't ask for a better place in the city where retail has worked continuously for 100+ years, no matter what else has gone on, than Eastern Market.
Okay. And what have been some benefits to having your business in Detroit?
Well, there's a great community of entrepreneurs in Detroit. There's a real sense of Detroit being kind of a place that you can really strike out on your own with minimal capital, minimal red tape to jump through, but all sorts of opportunity and support. Whether it's not always financial support that's most important, but a lot of moral support and community support. I mean, if you decide you're going to open a business here, you will. If it's a marginally good idea, the business community is very supportive. But whether it's lending a hand for marketing ideas, or getting people, the social media, people connecting you to other businesses in the city. It's really a wide open city. There's a lot of potential, and there's not much barrier to entry in Detroit right now. And and nationally we've noticed, because we're in the Eastern Market, we get a lot of tourists, especially in the summertime. There's a real national and international interest in what's going on in Detroit, and so if you come up with an idea that people like and is appealing and is interesting, you're going to get seen not only in Detroit, but you're going to get seen nationally as well. And we're starting to reap the benefits of some of that notoriety of the city, and I think it's kind of a symbiotic relationship that the city helps new businesses, is a great place for new businesses, and then conversely, that the new businesses popping up here just makes the city more appealing for other people to come in and be part of it.
Okay, and how about some disadvantages of having a business here?
The disadvantages aren't Detroit's own. There are some people who aren't comfortable traveling, to the city. But I would really say that that's because they haven't been here recently enough to know what an epic convergence of people and goodwill and resources and energy exist here now. But it's still a problem. It's still a challenge. Eastern Market again has a stronger and more utilized connection to suburban Detroit and the rest of Michigan than many of the districts. It's the first place that a lot of people come, or it's part of a lot of families' traditions to come here, and has been, again, through ups and downs that the city's had. But it's really, we're really short on disadvantages here. I mean, the feeling we've had since we opened the store is that not only is Detroit really hungry for and interested in interesting, new, creative, independent business, but that the rest of the region by and large, are waiting to see the new things that are going on here and waiting to come down and waiting to support and eager to support.
Right. And there's one other disadvantage I can think of. It kind of piggybacks on to what the nice thing about doing business in Detroit is, because it's so wide open and there's not, the city has its own unique set of problems and the government has its own unique set of issues going on right now, which kind of makes it a disadvantage. There's lots of other cities around the country where the city itself, the Chamber of Commerce, the city infrastructure has the mechanisms in place to help new businesses start and make it easy to start a new business. In Detroit, that's not the way. I mean, through no fault of their, well, you can argue through no fault of their own fault. You really don't rely on the city government and that sort of, and those normal chains that people would look to start a business. You just don't rely on those. That's not where you go to find information. That's not where you go to find funds. It's not where you go to find resources. All that's happening in the private sector. So that's one disadvantage, is that the traditional methods of business growth or economic development that usually happens at a civic and a governmental or a formalized level just isn't there. And in its wake, because of that, in its wake, unofficial and privately funded or privately organized or nonprofit type organizations have filled that void. But that's kind of a disadvantage, because it's kind of a wide open place that you have to have the mentality of someone who's willing to actually really go out and seek the people that'll help you start your business. It doesn't have the same kind of cookie cutter approach. They go to the city, they'll help you with their small, fill out this form to start this, and here's some standardized, funds available for a loan for a small business. That's not there. So you kind of have to be someone who's willing. And if you're the sort of person that thinks they can own their own business, start their own, you probably have a little bit of that mentality in you already, that you need to go out and find those things on your own. So it's kind of a disadvantage, maybe an advantage, I don't know.
I'd just qualify that a little bit. I think that we in businesses like ours are in a kind of dead zone for support. If you want a micro loan to weave some baskets and take them to a craft fair, you can probably find that pretty easily. There are programs that will loan you small amounts of money if you have enough time to wait and file your paperwork and go through the hoops. And likewise, if you're a very big company and you can take over a chunk of a building or revitalize a district just by moving your call center or your headquarters, there are big opportunities to save, to cut costs and move here and do something that feels good. But for businesses like ours, that we're not tiny and we're not big business, there's an absolute dearth of resources. Despite all the great, like Robert mentioned, great conservancy-based work that's going on here and foundation-based work that's going on here, when you get to independent enough to do a business of the size of ours, you find very few places to go for assistance, support, programs, and that just makes it, that just underscores.
Just makes it that much more.
This is a place where you really have to want to be. You have to love this place, and you have to love what you're doing to be here. But that's made for a really interesting group of businesses in the community too. Everyone here has fought to be here.
Run my own time.